You might be thinking, what is a psychically charged particle? Well, I'm glad you asked. A psychically charged particle is a symbol that conveys a tremendous amount of meaning to the person interpreting it. So for you, you have symbols that when you put your awareness on it, when you interpret it, when you visualize it, when you think of it, when you say it, it produces a specific feeling within you. This is a quote-unquote psychically charged particle, meaning this symbol literally exists. Just like the phrase thoughts are things, symbols are things. Symbols are psychically charged particles. Now, is there any scientific evidence to point to this particle that's psychically charged? No, not necessarily. But if you think of the effects of what symbols can do to you, then sure enough, it is true. They are psychically charged particles that are completely invisible that produce this tremendous amount of emotion within us. Now, let me really put this in a way you can wrap your head around, because I know maybe this might be a little bit off of what you normally will hear, but what I'm getting at with this psychically charged particle, this symbol, how can this benefit us? That's the real question. How is this, what can we use this for? What purposes can we use this for? That's the real question. Now, to answer that is very simple. Our subconscious mind only understands one language, and that language is feeling. Feeling, emotion. And if you were to think of something that you want, something you desire, a goal that you have, a wish that you want to experience, there is a symbol that represents the essence of that desire. Now, what do I mean by that? There is a symbol that exists right now that is specific to you, that represents the feeling of you accomplishing that desire. Now, let me give you an example. Say you want to be successful. Real general example. Say you want to be a millionaire. And the way you want to do that is to become an expert in your industry. Let's say you're in finance. You want to be an expert in your industry. What is a symbol that represents the essence of becoming successful in the financial industry? Perhaps it could be ascending to the top of a mountain. Maybe that symbol has some type of connotation to you that means a lot more, because when you were young, you used to climb mountains with your father. And while you were getting introduced to the financial industry, you would constantly hear the managers and everybody else say, man, this is like a tough mountain to climb. So you've been impressed with this feeling that this financial industry is like a mountain, and to get to the top of it, to get to the peak, would be success. So ascending the top of this mountain is the symbol that represents your success in finance. So, what's so great about identifying the right symbol is that you can use that with your imagination and put yourself on top of the mountain. I have a friend, her name is Kim, and she's a part of my accountability group. She lives in Australia, and the symbol that represents her personal development right now is a symbol we all know. The caterpillar becoming a butterfly. Now, to some people, that analogy means nothing, but to her, that means so much. It has so much emotion there. She even knows the exact details of how a butterfly goes through the metamorphosis. She knows all of the details. That symbolizes her growth. We need to get present with symbols. Now, another way you can say this is with analogies. But analogy is just a symbol, right? It's symbolic, right? It symbolizes something else. All symbols are attempts to express feeling. So if you can get clear on what your desire means to you on a symbolic level, it's so powerful. Another example here is I have another good friend of mine. Her name is Amna. And when I was coaching her, I was helping her really symbolize her growth. And for her, it's like being in this bird cage, locked inside this bird cage. She grew up inside this bird cage, and everything that she experienced with her not being able to live her life effectively was her being in this bird cage. And now, as an adult, she's been able to at least, she sees that the bird cage has been unlocked, and she's even able to fly out of the bird cage. But because she's been there her whole life, she's been conditioned to stay in this bird cage. Now, let me explain this. When we were having our coaching session, she didn't really look at her situation like that. But I symbolized it in this bird cage. And I said, wow, it sounds like you're in a bird cage. And she's like, whoa, yeah, that's it. So the symbol from what she was going through was the bird cage. Now, what's so powerful is that once we get clear on that, we can use that symbol. And then with her imagination, we can use different elements to change how she feels about what she's been going through. So we could say, okay, what does the flying symbolize? For her, the flying symbolizes selfless giving. And she feels like if she's not giving selflessly, she's not flying. So she's back in the bird cage. And this bird cage symbolizes the fact that she's not fully expressing herself. So what if we took this bird cage and instead of it being like a cage, it was a beautiful home where she can reset, she can rest, she can become rejuvenated as she prepares her selfless giving again. And now this isn't some type of prevention of her being completely expressed, but now it's a place of rejuvenation. She's already become accustomed to being in this bird cage, but now we're flipping the meaning. We're flipping what it symbolizes. You gotta play these mental, I don't even want to say tricks, but when you realize how powerful symbolism is, you'll be able to rearrange it to your advantage. Now, to be able to do this, first of all, you need to study yourself. You need to see the constant mental conversations you're having and the words that you're using. When I'm coaching people, I'm constantly listening to the words that they pick to describe their situation. It feels like somebody will say, Evan, my success just feels so watered down. Feels like I've done all this work, I've made all this money, but it really doesn't mean that much. It feels watered down. Okay, wow. Well, tell me about that. Or maybe they'll say, you know what, Evan, I'm just so exhausted. I just climbed out of this hole and I'm on the side that I'm just like, I'm just trying to catch my breath. All right, boom. See, when I'm listening to them, they're giving me the clues to how they're visualizing their own situation. And when you get those things, when you find out those hidden symbols that are within us, these are psychically charged particles. They literally exist. And if you know how to rearrange your mind and use your imagination to use these symbols in the opposite direction for yourself, you can impress your subconscious mind with the feeling that you already have what you want. And one of the best clues is when you experience the negative emotion related to your goal. Because if you experience the sadness of the fact that you don't have it, well then what's the opposite of that, right? The feeling of you having it, right? Sometimes the negative emotion can give you the clue to the opposite. Now listen, a lot of what I'm telling you is kind of like ideas that I'm like throwing up in the air, and I'm hoping that you catch them. Okay? If you're picking up what I'm putting down, I want you to know that the overarching idea of what I want you to know is that the power to create the life you want is within you. And it's going to take a little bit of elbow grease and introspection. But if you get excited about learning about yourself, seeing what makes you produce emotions, what means the most to you, right? As you're going through your day and you notice that this produces a specific emotion in you, write it down in a journal or on your phone until you get a journal. Wow, you really start to collect the keys that you need to create the success that you want. Now, with that being said, that's the end of this video, but I'd like to tell you to go ahead and click in the description right now. You will see a link to join my Facebook group. It's a free Facebook group called Deep Dive, the manifesting strategy for big thinkers. Go ahead and join our Facebook group because I'm going to have weekly live classes where we're going to expand on these ideas. And even some of you will see live an experience of somebody when they figure out what their desires mean to them on the deepest level. Now, with that being said, my name is Evan Yearwood, and I'll see you tomorrow.